Hi there, my name's JC. Welcome back to another episode of Monday through Friday. On this episode, I've been thinking a lot lately about why exactly does the Christian conservative right hate trans people? Why do they feel like they need to remove us from existence? Definitely get us out of the public view, but up to and including try to make it as difficult for us to exist as possible. And at first, I thought, well, maybe it's because women like Marsha P. Johnson were pivotal in the Stonewall riot and brought about a lot of positive, progressive social change. But then I thought, no, because you're talking about a group of people who historically does not study or follow history. They get a lot of things wrong. They didn't really pay attention in school all that much. So that can't be the reason why, because that takes a little bit more brain power. I'm not saying that they're not intelligent people. I'm sure a lot of them are. I'm just saying that as a group, it probably is not something that they're aware of, that trans women in particular are the catalyst for a lot of social change. The movie franchise, The Matrix, was created by two transgender sisters. And the right likes saying, take the blue pill, take the black pill, take the blue pill, the red pill. They're constantly quoting a movie that is about being transgender. And it completely misses them every single time. But moving on, let's break this down to, why do Christian conservative right-leaning men disapprove of transgender women in particular? And I'm going to be speaking about transgender women because I am one, and I feel like it's only right to talk about people that belong to the group that you belong into. I'm sure that there's reasons why this same group of people dislike trans men, but I feel like they dislike trans women to a greater degree. Beginning with the fellas on that group, this is my hypothesis. Christian conservative, right-leaning men dislike transgender women for a few reasons. Number one, they see that we recognize something in ourselves and we took steps to change that. We did the action, we broke free, and we made our lives better for it. That takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of work. And have you ever seen someone who just has excellent abs, great muscles, or they have a whole bunch of medals or certificates, and you're like, wow, I'm jealous of them because they're doing so well. And that seems like a lot of work. It's the same kind of thing. On one hand, these fellas are like, you actually did something to change your life to the positive. And you broke free from tradition. Can't say that word. And we don't like you for it because that seems too difficult for us. Because a lot of their social groups, a lot of their religious leaders, a lot of their political leaders, a lot of their peers all say that if you don't adhere to the specific type of masculinity, you are somehow less of a man. You are inferior. And if you're inferior, you won't have access to the same networks of powerful people or resources. And in this case, the resources are women to procreate with, women to have relationships with. If you're not following the Andrew Tates or the Jordan Petersons of the world, you're less than a man. You're less of a man, and you're less desirable, and you're not welcome. And they see transgender women as well, you had the same, cards were dealt to you. The same cards were dealt to you at birth as me, but you don't seem affected by this loss of masculinity the way that I am constantly in fear of being perceived as not masculine enough, because no woman will love me if I'm not seen as a manly man, which isn't the case, number one. speaking as a woman and speaking on behalf of a lot of my friends, the whole macho man perspective, or the whole macho man like kind of like mentality, is very cringe. A guy who just follows his joy and lives authentically and is easygoing and unfazed, that's the kind of guy that is most desirable. Not someone who is like, I need to do this, this, and this, otherwise I lose my man card. Those type of dudes are often violent, contradictory, and mean-spirited, and no fun to be around. Whereas the guy who's like, yeah, whatever, I'll drink a fruity drink, or I'll wear a flashy suit, or I'll like dance it up and stuff like that. Those guys are fun. But also, that brings me back to this. The main reason I'm assuming that Christian conservative men dislike trans women is because they secretly find us attractive. And they think that by finding us attractive, what they're actually saying is, maybe because I find these women attractive, maybe that makes me gay. Maybe I'm gay, maybe I'm bi, maybe I'm questioning, but either way, if I'm not like 100% hetero, then that takes me down a few pegs on the man scale, and I could lose face in front of my friends and relatives and my status symbol among my groups, my peer groups. So they see us, they find us attractive, they question it, and then some kind of internal homophobia starts kicking into place, and then they hate us because they don't want to analyze that in themselves. They hate trans women because, oh, you're trying to tempt me. You're a sin. Get behind me, Satan. When actually we're just existing. Or if it is in the case of adult film or adult entertainment and stuff, you're kind of the one that's keep going back to that well. Once or twice, it's an oopsie. But statistics show that the majority of transgender adult films and media are being consumed in what is called quote unquote red states. May I remind you that back in 2024, the RNC crashed Grindr with the amount of use. This platform that says that, if it's not white and straight, it's bad, crashed Grindr, a homosexual dating app for gay men, gay, bi, and queer questioning men. They're there trying to take away the rights of LGBT people, but at the same time, they're on their phones all on Grindr at the exact same time that the system couldn't handle it and shut down. That's telling in and of itself. And it has been my experience and the experience of a lot of my sisters that oftentimes these guys who are like, oh no, I'm killer straight, I'm super straight. If you've ever heard of that before, I'm super straight, I would never. Those are the guys who kind of chase us the most because they see us as a gray area where they can experiment with their own sexuality in kind of a baby steps safe way, which is not exactly how it is. Because there's nothing gay about a man being attracted to or loving a woman. Doesn't matter what kind of woman. There's nothing gay about it. But they are so focused on what's in our pants that they're like, well, it's not like sex with another man, but I still get to play with this thing that I've never gotten to experience before on another person. So they kind of view us as a gray area, but then they hate themselves for it because, oh no, please forgive me, I shouldn't have done that. I'm guilty of it. Long time ago back in boy mode, I went through religious panic twice because of various circumstances kind of like that. I'm like, I swear I'll never do it again. But we live, we learn, we grow. So that's why the men in the conservative Christian right might hate us, is because A, we were given this, label of boom, masculine. And then rather than fighting to maintain it and putting all of our effort into maintain the costume, maintain the suit, gotta keep up with like what people are expecting of me, which is kind of what they do. We just said, this ain't us. And they hate us for that because we rejected masculinity. We rejected that portion of the patriarchy, which is like, you have to adhere to this specific type of living. And also, they're attracted to us, and they're self-hating. They're self-hating, queer questioning people. Now, for the women in the conservative Christian right, why would they hate us? I think it's because they've been kicked around so much, and they've been told what to do so much, and they've had all these restrictions placed upon them, and they've been seen as inferior and second class for so long that this new subsect of people come in, and they have, quote unquote, less power, less authority, less value, that now these women feel like it's the perfect opportunity to get their comeuppance and to target someone who is deemed less important than they are. It's like, finally, this is going to be a safe group of people for me to belittle and be mean to. I can take out my frustrations on all the negativity that I faced from my spouse, my parents, society in general, about like what it means to be a woman and how to act like this, and you need to do what your husband says, or you can't do that. What if a man wants you someday? I get to be mean to this group of people who are soft like me, but represent in my head the men around me. And I get to target all this negative energy towards them, and there's nothing they can do about it. So they say swear words and derogatory words, and they get in our face, and they make a big stink about it. And they're doing it because finally there's a group of people more marginalized than themselves that they can finally feel like they have power and marginalize along with too. They get to bully somebody instead of being the ones that are bullied. And it's relaxing for them. It's like a Karen going to a supermarket or a store and being like, let me speak to your manager. Except for there's a lot more profanity and ugliness. Which is kind of understandable, but it's also kind of pick-me nature because they're doing it for the men in their lives too. Kind of like, see, I could be equally as mean. Aren't I great? Aren't I following what we all agreed to do and stuff like that? I'm doing my part. Pick me. Maybe it's because a lot of trans femmes are incredibly gorgeous. A lot of transgender women. Have you looked around? They are beautiful. They are gorgeous. Women in general are just absolutely stunning creatures. But I'm finding myself as I get older, I'm getting a little bit more stink-eye towards like younger women around me. And I'm like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be like player hating. I should be congratulating. Good for you. Please don't make the same bad decisions I made when I was younger, but have fun. These are the best years of your life. But there is that part of me as a woman that's like, you know, oh, she's prettier than me. I hate her. And it just comes with the territory. We're just wired that way as women. But that shouldn't be the case. Our job as women and what we're here for is to like lift each other up, to support each other. Being a transgender woman is like saying I'm any other kind of woman. I'm a transgender woman. I'm a woman with red hair. I'm a woman with blue eyes. I'm a woman who is left-handed. We're all just ladies. We're all just women. And as a woman, I stand with women. I want to make sure that we have equal rights. I want to make sure that the rights that we've fought for generations, we get to hold on to and pass on to the next generation. I want to make sure that we're safe. I want to make sure that labor is distributed evenly amongst all people and not just like, you know, a woman clocks out of her job and then goes home and then clocks into second shift, which is being a mom and a wife. Like, it takes two to tango. Let's work together here. Times are rough. I want to see women succeed, other women succeed. But, if you live in this mind state, this echo chamber of like, I'm subservient to men, and now there's this other class that's subservient to me, so I'm going to bully them the way that men have bullied me, or other women in the past have bullied me on behalf of men. I could understand why they're taking the bait. But we're supposed to be looking out for each other. That's the right thing to do. Now, let's take another step back here. Here's something else that I don't think that the Christian right understands. Transgender women are good for everyone. We are good for society. We are a pivotal part to the biodiversity of the human race. For the men out there, you're upset because, oh, well, you're not a real woman. You're a trap, or you're a slew of other profane words and stuff like that. Think of it this way. For every trans woman that exists, there is one less man in the world that you have to compete with, one less rival, and there's one more woman. So we're taking away, for each one of a person like me, for each lady like me, there's one less piece of competition out there, and then there's one more resource. So we're actually helping you. And if you would just stop, trying to kill us, eradicate us, make us go into hiding, or stop existing in total, I'm sure you could find out that, we can all get along. And it's better for you in the long run to have transgender women in your life or in the world at large. Because we take, for every one unit of transgender women, there is one less man out there and one extra woman, which, if you're trying to be super straight and stuff like that, is a good thing for you economically. For the women out there, you might be thinking, oh, well, that's the reverse for me, because, there's a scarcity of good men out there, and you've just eradicated a good man, and now I have competition in another woman. Yeah, that might be the case, but for anyone who's a queer woman, a lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, polysexual, if you feel like you need a certain something, but you don't want to turn to guys necessarily to get it, there is an organic option. Just saying, that could, help facilitate. If you feel like, men are too dangerous, I could get hurt, they do things that are scary, there's an alternative option. If you're looking for the best part of a man without all the scary stuff behind it, trans women are your friend. But let's say that you're, a strictly straight woman. We vote the same way that you vote. We fight for the same things that you fight for. If your kid gets lost in the store, we're looking for them to help you. You know what I mean? If a guy comes up to you and is screaming or being creepy, we'll intervene. Because not only do we recognize that woman to woman, we gotta help somebody, help her, but it's also some of us have heard the stuff from the guy's perspective when you weren't around back in the day before transitioning. We've heard the locker room talk, and it's as bad, if not worse, than what you actually think it is. So we know, holy crap, we got to do something about this, and we're there to help. We are there to help. Bottom line. And yeah, this whole perceived, well, they'll just come into our women's spaces, and that's a false narrative. Okay, we're just as safe as anyone else. Well, we're just as safe as any other woman. That's just something that, they're making up to pit us against each other. And if you make friends with or are a coworker with a trans woman, get to know her a little bit. And you'll find out that, like, yeah, we share a lot in common. But I'm going to leave it there for today. That was just my thoughts lately. Big takeaway, conservative Christian right. The guys don't like us because of internal homophobia. But actually, we're making your life better because we're taking a guy off the market and we're adding a woman. And if you weren't so, like, focused on, like, I need to be a man. I need to be a man. It hurts. I don't like you because you're not doing what I'm doing. It's claustrophobic and I can't find joy in life. If you just unwind and, like, our existence isn't hurting you. Your actions is hurting our existence. Let's find a way to co-create. Let's find a way to exist together. And for the women out there, it's like, we're your sisters. We're your coworkers. We can help. We need your help. Quit excluding us. Include us sometimes. You want to look more feminine? I'm not even going to go there and stuff like that. I'm just saying that, like, having a friend like us can be advantageous. And I don't mean that in a creepy way and stuff. I'm just saying, like, to give you, like, I wonder what he's thinking. Sometimes we can tell you exactly what they're thinking because we either thought it ourselves at one point or we heard what they were talking about, and we can give you a different perspective. But that's where I'm going to leave it. Leave your comments down below. Please be kind, be nice, and all that stuff. Talk to you all again soon.